All right. Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to the May 15th edition of the EZKL Community Call. We have a good agenda for today, and we can actually get started with Ian's percent tolerance change. Would you like to talk about that, Ian? Ethan?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I implemented this feature to Ezekiel. So the tolerance, I guess I'll explain a little bit about how the tolerance feature, how it worked before the percent tolerance. So it was this absolute tolerance mechanism whereby if the expected output of the model deviated from the actual output by a certain absolute value from any dimension, then the proof wouldn't verify. And I thought that it would be cool to implement because all the outputs could be of different scale to different values. It'd be cool to represent that tolerance as a percentage rather than absolute deviation, so percent error. So you can measure how the actual output has deviated from the expected output by a certain percentage. And I decided, hey, I'll implement that. So I created the circuit for that. It utilized the greater than lookups, which I think is a first layout that has implemented that lookup table so far. So yeah, I implemented that. I will say though, if you are going to use the percent tolerance as opposed to the original absolute tolerance feature, it's best to use it to prove it on a server as opposed to WASM right now, because the extra lookups do sort of bloat up the circuit a little bit, the greater than lookups, as opposed to the original range check, which doesn't use any lookups. That's what I found through testing. But yeah, if anyone, I encourage everyone to look at the range check percent layout that I created. There may be a more optimal layout for it that perhaps doesn't involve range checks. I thought a lot about it. I couldn't figure out a more optimal layout, but if anyone could figure that out, please let me know. So yeah, and I encourage everyone to try out the feature. If you want to, so in the Ezekiel settings, when to set the percent tolerance as opposed to the absolute tolerance, you need to pass in for the tolerance flag a floating point value. So for instance, if you want to set it to 1% tolerance, you need to set it to 1.0. And if you want to set it as an absolute tolerance, then you just set it to 1, just a regular use size integer. So yeah, that's the feature, TLDR.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ethan.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Very exciting. I can speak briefly on something that Dante and I were working on over the weekend. It's two operations of the slice operation and the concat operation. They're just tensor operations for you to query a certain slice within a tensor. So it's kind of like taking a subset of it. And then concat, which is concatenating multiple tensors on the back of each other, depending on which axis is being queried. So axis meaning dimension. So you want to concatenate it from the first dimension, second dimension. It kind of formats the output tensor differently. But that PR was out just today, actually. It's number 241. So pretty exciting there. And then also, Jacine wanted to just briefly talk about the doc updates that you had last week with the Matrian release flag.
Oh yeah, yes. So it turns out that like the long proving times on Python was actually just due to the maturing flag. So apparently it's the same as cargo. So you just need to pass like release to the maturing flag. But moving forward, what I'm doing right now is to also get so there's this PyZicle packet. So the goal is to then like port all the functions in the PyZicle. So you wouldn't need to build anything. You just need to hit install like PyEZKL, and everything should be set and ready to go. So I'm working on that right now, and so it should have like the basic functionalities, and that's like my intermediate goal, and it should be much easier. So right now this is like the developmental setup, but yeah, but moving forward, like it should be able to just run pip install.
Awesome. Yeah. It should be exciting using those Python bindings, especially when we have every op handle or every command handle.
Make everyone's life a lot easier. We don't want to touch the rest of the command line.
Oh
The thing
yeah.
I love about that is that a lot of times people are training on a notebook, on Colab or whatever, which is quite a fast machine, right? Quite a good machine that they're just using temporarily for training. So proving should be really fast too.
Yeah,
100%.
I guess I would also probably like want inputs on whether the people want to kind of like write to files, because right now like the Python bindings like it's still following like the EZKL command line style where you kind of write to files. So the only catch right now that I think of is like weird things with the global interrupt lock. So like do let me know if there's like you would rather kind of like pull ONX files using like the default packages in Python versus writing to like a file within like the file system. Yeah, would appreciate inputs in that, and if that's preferred, I can also like write bindings for that. Yeah, but otherwise, like I'll just like get the feature parity with like the physical bindings right now, which involves writing to the file system.
And by file system, you mean within whatever environment they're using the bindings in, right? So like the Colab environment. Or
Yeah. So for Colab, I think like if you want to access the file system, you need to put an exclamation mark and ls and get like the
Yeah.
specifics crossed. It can be tricky if you're using Docker. So if you're using Docker, like you will need to also access the file system. So yeah, if they're more Dockerized instances, maybe it might be easier to use um, like passing the variables through like the functions instead. But Docker does have its own file system. It's just that it might not be persistent if you do not set like a volume to the Docker instance itself. So like that has to be explicitly set. So for example, if you run a Docker instance, you need to kind of like pair like the file volume to like to the folder you're working in. Otherwise, it's just an ephemeral file volume. So that's just a catch of using Docker right now.
Yeah, I actually think I saw that in the documentation. The using files along with your instances is kind of tricky. We should look into that though, because we actually have a Docker implementation on the way. Just wanted to say that. But we should definitely look into that JSON because people should be able to use the Python bindings with that.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Cool. Awesome. Anything else development wise that we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, so I'll talk about something that I started working on 4 days ago. So currently, when you try to deploy, so right now you can't deploy an aggregated verifier in Solidity right now. It exceeds a contract size limit. So I've been experimenting with some of the optimization features with the Solidity compiler. So I've been working on that. So when you compile a contract, you could pass in with Solidity compiler, you could pass in one of the arguments, flag -- optimize, and then you could set this optimize runs parameter, which essentially allows you to pick sort of the trade-off you want for the optimization. So if you want to optimize entirely for deployment costs, then you'd set that optimize runs to 1. However, if you want to optimize more for the actual execution of the contract, such as cheaper to interact with, then you'd set that parameter to I think as high as like 2,000. And so I've been experimenting with that parameter, and when I set it to 1, I was able to get, I think, most of the test files in the Solidity EVM aggregate tests to actually deploy to get below that 24.5 kilobyte contract size limit. However, I am encountering this weird bug with sometimes with the Solidity compiler. I get this weird like OS32 pipe error bug. Have any of y'all had a bug like that? OS32 pipe error.
No, it doesn't ring
It's
a
weird.
bell.
Okay. Yeah,
What
yeah.
are
It's
the
been.
details on it?
Was that?
What are like the details on it? Is there a message?
Yeah, I think there's some error with the serialization of some JSON file. I think I'll send you the error message if you want to take a look. But it's kind of
Yeah.
been bugging. It's been bugging me a little bit, and it may be an issue with the Ether Solc Rust library itself. So I may
Oh, so you're
open
using
up an
Ether's
issue there.
Rust?
Was that?
You're using Ether's Rust?
Yeah, Ether Solc
Okay.
Rust. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
Would you want to post an issue within the EZKL repo so you can keep track of that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, that would be a really great addition, though. Awesome. If there's nothing else for the development side, we can go on to talking, well, I guess announcing the EZKL Hacker House. So the thought behind this, and just Jason, JCM, anybody, feel free to tag along to this, but the thinking was that we should have an in-person location for, really just like a hacker house that you do for a traditional ETH Global hackathon, but something that we use for a lot of the teams who are building for, not only autonomous worlds, but anything zkml related. And then also for the ZKL team to get together and build more features, because one thing that we've noticed is that anytime a team needs a new operation or they need some extra functionality to EZKL, that's when EZKL grows in capability. So it's good that we can work together and try out bigger, more bold models, and then get EZKL prepared for them. So we were thinking sometime between the beginning of the last week of July and the first half of beginning of the last week of June and the first half of July. Still not absolutely solidified yet, but leaning toward the last week of June. Jason, did you all want to say anything on top of it though? We're thinking about Boston, by the way.
Yeah, Boston around then. I think we'll try to do a bit of an activation with the community here in Cambridge and Boston, and some other activities. And the idea is, to have both the core development team and anybody else who's interested in building. And we hope to have at least sort of 10 to 15 people, but it would be even more awesome if it spiraled out of control or 50 people or something. So, we'll be doing these regularly. We'll also be doing these regularly at different places in the world. So, after this one, we'll maybe do one in Europe or Asia or the Middle East.
For sure, should be fun. We'll definitely keep you all posted in the EZKL Telegram, though. Awesome. And now just want to introduce any, not introduce, but allow any of the projects to kind of just talk about updates. Noya, I know we were syncing over the weekend. Not sure if you all were able to test out the new Slice and Concat PR.
Yeah, or any other feedback or things that you need.
Yeah, I don't know, Adi, if you can talk.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry, I had to get out, but I was listening to the call. So if you hear any noise or something, just bear with me. So we are at the final steps to create a demo for our project using EZKL, and we are going to present it at EdCon at the end of the week. So we are pretty excited about that. I'm going to work on the update tonight, and probably we'll have the GitHub repo of the demo tomorrow morning. So I will be really happy for any reviews or any advice for us to improve the docs, improve the code once they're published. I think they will be published tomorrow morning if everything goes well. So I will keep you updated.
Awesome. Sounds great, Hadi.
Thank you. Thank you.
EdCon is next week, right?
19th.
19th, yeah.
Yeah. In Montenegro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm heading back to Montenegro for that, so I'm gonna give a talk on Sunday.
Oh, awesome.
Really? Nice. Yeah, we can definitely talk.
Cool. Are there any other projects that are building on EZKL? Cool, cool. I think, I think our responsibility should be to keep everyone posted on the Hacker House in the chat, and then also just stay updated. If you could, Ethan, send over any issues that you have with that optimization issues. I've worked with Ether's Rust briefly, but not their optimizer. Is it a Sol C optimizer, or is it something that they made themselves?
It's a Sol C optimizer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Should be fun. All right. If that's it for everyone, we had a great call. Good updates. Great seeing you as always.
Thank you.
Cool. I'll go ahead.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, right. But by any